Joining us live now, political analyst and professor at Curtin University, Joe Siracusa. Joe, good morning to you. So as of last count, it looks likely that the Republicans will get control of the House. They may still get control of the Senate, although that's looking unlikely, you've got to say. But that red wave, it never came. What do you put it down to?
Well, Pete, good morning. Look, you and I know from 2016 that some of the polling isn't very accurate. We're better off just flipping a coin. Look, it just wasn't reported correctly. I mean, a lot of people got fooled here. Senator Lindsey Graham and Newt Gingrich and other people. I mean, all kinds of analysts and pundits said there was going to be a wave. But look, let's get this straight, Pete. The Republican Party has won the House of Representatives. They're going to get 227 seats, and they may still flip the Senate. So yeah. This idea that the red wave is a great victory for the Democrats. Well, look, in sports and in life, 1 point's enough. So yeah, it's going to transform the Biden. They're still lost. That's exactly right. Now, as I say, there was no wave for some reason. I don't know. I don't think the polling picked it up. But look, the president, President Biden, is now in a position where he's going to probably have a terrific rematch with President Trump in 2024.
Right. So just to bring you in there, I was going to ask you about that. You still think, despite a lot of his candidates not doing as well as he expected, do you still think he goes?
Well, I'd like to think that if he had a really bad day yesterday, that there'd be a visit to his office. But look, I think he's done just enough. He's done just enough to keep his hands on the nomination machinery, and he doesn't want to go. And of course, his argument to his doubters is that he was the only guy who could probably beat Donald Trump. So he's not afraid. He got 81 million votes. Yeah, he's not afraid to take on Trump again. Though I'll tell you this much, though. I think Ron DeSantis did so well yesterday that Trump ought to be looking over his shoulder. If Trump stumbles or has a health problem, Ron DeSantis will move in. And Ron DeSantis did wonderful things. So, it's a victory for the Republicans. It wasn't a blowout like an Origins match or something. But, a W is a W, and I think they'll take it.
You know what was interesting, though? I saw a critic yesterday, a Republican strategist, who identified all of the problems within the Democrat Party at the moment and the problems within the United States itself. And he pointed out to the economy, skyrocketing inflation, the worst in 40 years. He pointed out illegal immigration, the worst it's been in a long time. Skyrocketing crime figures that are the worst they've been in a long time. All these issues that should have led to a red wave, right? But then he says, according to voters, well, they looked at the Republicans and thought, well, I think we'd rather the devil we know here.
Well, a part of that is true, Pete. But look, the real thing is that millions and millions of women came out and protested the Roe v. Wade. It was the Supreme Court, and knocking that thing down generated or energized women in both parties and all across America to go out and vote. Now, 120 million people voted yesterday. They spent about $17 billion in advertising. And the big element to me is that the victory for the Democrats, and to the extent they had a victory, was the women came out and they voted for access to abortion. Yeah. So in a way, it's the Supreme Court handed President Biden, a lifeboat. He took it.
Okay, go ahead. So no, we're just looking at these numbers there. They're the live numbers at the bottom of your screen, folks. So at the House, 203 at the moment to 175. As we said, it looks like the Republicans will still get that. As for the Senate, though, Republicans 49, Dems 48. Let's say the Democrats hold on to the Senate, Joe, and lose the House. What does that mean? What does that mean? Is the president still hobbled when it comes to legislation?
Oh, absolutely. The House of Representatives will make sure that the president is investigated, his policy is investigated. And let me tell you, Pete, as soon as Representative McCarthy takes over, it's quite clear that whole lot of things are off the table. That is, the open-ended support for Ukraine is off the table. They're going to be turning increasingly to diplomacy, the way Richard Nixon did in 1972. They're going to force the Ukrainians to sit down at the table with the Russians, and if not, they're going to do it without them. So I think the war is going to slow down or come to an end for the Americans anyway, the proxy war. And I think it's going to be very hard for the president of the United States to get any legislation. Look, the people who control the purse, people who control the investigative and the subpoena powers, people who can block supply of government, they're in control. And the founding fathers knew that. And, while some people may be disappointed about yesterday, the guy who wrote the Constitution, James Madison, would be over the moon, because that's exactly how he expected the democracy to work, slowly and methodically, and he wanted everything to grind to small increases or defeats, whatever it was. So in a way, the American Republic works. But this idea that America's had it, and the Republic is over, I think that the death of America, Pete, is premature.
Okay. Joe, good to see you as well, as always.
Okay.
Good to get your analysis. We'll talk to you again soon.